Good morning. This is an invitation to silence your cell phones or other devices. This morning we are going to pledge allegiance. Not something we usually do in church, a little separation of church and state thing, but this is pledging allegiance to the earth and all life by Vern Barnett. I invite you to join in with me. I pledge allegiance to the earth and all life, the fields and streams, the mountains and seas, the forests and deserts, the air and soil, all species and reserves, habitats and environments, one world, one creation, one home, indivisible for all, affected by pollution anywhere, depleted by any waste, endangered by greedy consumption, degradation by faithlessness, protected, preserved by reducing, reusing, recycling, with conservation and reverence, the great gift renewed for all generations to come.
Good morning. My name is Jenny Dewey. Okay, land acknowledgement. These acorns symbolize that as residents or visitors in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as the campaign to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition. We celebrate that as of this month, the Nisenan people have raised the funds to purchase the Woolman School property. Yeah. And encourage everyone who can now contribute to the second phase of the campaign, which we will enable the tribe to make needed improvements to bring the property up to code and steward the land. Thank you.
And now I invite you to turn to one another and greet each other, especially the people in this room that you may not have met yet. To be continued after the service. Blessing for our childhood trees. The great oak who shaded the backyard where your childhood games sprung up like seedlings from the earth. The weeping willow whose branches bent down to meet the pond upon which you sailed paper boats. The orange tree which bore fruit bigger than your hand. The tree which you could not name, but which rose from concrete with limbs still large enough to hold you. We ask your blessing for them now. These are trees of childhood. When our world was smaller, one block or backyard, one pond or acre, still nature grew to greet us. Nature reached out and we reached back, hands scrabbling bark, tiny legs over tree limbs on our way toward the sky. Not old enough yet to have been taught ourselves apart, a piece, separate. From you, we instead named you in the language of our hearts, a word we couldn't speak aloud if asked. We are rarely asked, but we could find our way back to you in our sleep, in a dream. We couldn't put you down, pen to paper, every leaf in its place, but your branches live mapped in our bodies, and we know you still. We know you still, trees who have been cut down, trees now sick, trees from whom we have moved away, who house different children from different families in their branches now. Trees who some among us might still return to. Bless them all, the trees that were never ours, which always were. For those cut down, let your fallen wood nourish the earth where we once walked, and let a sapling rise in your place. Let a child not yet born climb as we once climbed. Let them love you as we loved you. For those trees still left outside a home from which we have walked away, let the sun and the earth feed you. Let a bird make a home in your branches. Let the world turn happily without us there to see. Bless the trees whom we still know. Let them live after we are gone. May each of us carry ever in our hearts the memory of that love. May each child know that love, the love of a tree. May we work to make it so. And now this same light of our chalice will be carried by our young ones on their way upstairs. I invite you to join me in singing The Children on Their Way.
My name is Lindsay Dunckel, and I am delighted to serve as your worship associate for this morning's service with the special joy of doing so along with my eldest child, Sophia, whom, for the record, I can remember climbing 40 feet in the air on a pine tree. Welcome, one and all. It is a joy to be together. Let's begin this morning with a breath. A reset on this Sabbath morning in this glorious time of spring as the tilt of the Earth's northern hemisphere points more and more toward the sun and blossoms begin to appear seemingly everywhere. Is it any wonder that April was chosen for Earth Day? Together this morning, we'll contemplate our relationship to the natural world. Spoiler, we are an integrated part of it. As we continue to delve into this month's theme of interdependence. In this place, made holy by our gathering together to lift up our wonderings, our reflections, our values, may we find solace and inspiration. May we be recalled to our best selves. Come, let us worship together.
When the Unitarian Universalist Association was founded in 1961, the association created a living document of our principles and purposes, a living document which has been updated in the 60 years since. This year, we'll be voting on one such potential revision, which includes the rephrasing of one of our principles from respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, to we honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. When I first saw this proposed revision, I had to go look up the original principle, as the revision didn't sound so different to me. Hadn't we already affirmed our belief in the interdependent web of all existence? Even side by side, the two wordings didn't seem so different to me at first. But I think the key difference here is the proposed changes include the word humility. In my experience, humility is not a word that we often use in a UU context. Ours is a religion which emphasizes the inherent worth and dignity of all people. How then does humility fit into that understanding? Ours is also a religion which would see each of us do good in the world, to not just find and hold strong ethical principles, but to act on them. A belief in the interdependent web of all existence, then, would ask us to protect that web. Humility, I think, would remind us that we are not the only actors in that play. While we should recognize the drastic way in which humans have reshaped the Earth, climate change being one of the effects our choices have wrought, humility reminds us that we are not the only ones who respond to these effects. The Earth responds as well. Birds change their migration patterns, sea lions change their diets, and rivers move their beds. The Earth is not, as some interpretations of the Bible would tell us, something from which we are set apart, something which was given to us to use. The Earth was here before humanity. It will be here after we are gone, too. The changes in migration patterns and nesting behaviors, increases in wildfires or dips or spikes in temperatures, all of this is part of an ongoing conversation in which we and the rest of the world are engaged. To bring humility to that conversation is to remember both what we owe and what we can learn from all of Earth's creatures, not just one another.
Good morning, sisters and brothers. I'm Nancy Finley, and I'm going to read to you my love story with Canada geese. This love story begins with a glimpse of tiny cotton fluffs swimming between goose and gander. They're moving together in and out of the reeds, too rapidly to count. First sighting is on the upper pond. A week later, they reappear on the small lake below. They've grown. We spot the beginning of feathers. It's apparent there are fewer goslings. Over the next month, the family moves from upper to middle pond to the small lake and back again. Perhaps they're trying to find safety from predators as the goslings disappear one by one. The lake has a narrow pinch and a turn, which allows the lower half to be entirely invisible except by canoe. It's surrounded by reeds. We stay off the water to allow the goose family privacy. They're mostly out of sight. As is his custom, my dear old partner arranges a bird feeding station with seed and suet. He brings food for the fish. And he adds waterfowl pellets to the offerings. The goose, gander, and 3 surviving goslings begin coming up on the bank to feed. Goose and goslings eagerly devour the mash. Gander stands rigid, eyes fixed on us and our leashed dogs. He rarely eats, just guards the family. A mallard duck flock, which is also hatched around our lake, begins to arrive at meal times. There's 1 drake. The rest all look like hens, but over time, they will mature into male drakes and female hens. They're grudgingly tolerated by the geese. The ducks run in and out of the feeding geese and grab bites of food before being casually nudged off. The surrounding oaks and willow are decorated with songbirds. 2 ravens usually pass overhead, checking out the scene. Scrub jays courageously jump into the fray. All share the bounty. Every morning we walk down the hill to feed these avian families. The goslings and ducklings are finally fully feathered. They take to the sky and explore other lakes in the neighborhood. We watch the 5 geese leave late in the afternoon. In the morning, they often arrive with impeccable timing, just as we are coming down the path. They always land on the secluded lower lake out of sight, and then gracefully glide toward the upper lake. The family arrives to eat. 2 other geese begin tagging along. They settle into a pattern of joining the family, coming and going. Now there are 7 geese overhead. They're deferential to the family, but obviously want to try out what's being eaten on the bank. I place a feed bowl down a grassy hidden path for them. This is a big success nutritionally, but they still want to be on the bank, eating close to the family. There are usually some minor tussles during the feeding. Occasionally, a riot explodes with shrill honking, aerial assault, ground chases, water ambush, with a drumbeat of goose complaints. Finally, the intruder geese are exiled. Peace returns. This is my love story. For half a year, my heart has been on fire, captivated by these lovely creatures that chose our lake in which to build their family. My dear old partner and I walk together in the early morning, rain or shine, to commune with these neighbors. We sit in silence, absorbing the changing seasons, moved by the drama of the lives all around us. Our spirits are enriched. Thank you.
Carrot interlude. So as some of you might know, I've been working on a local farm since I moved home about a year ago. And as I'm sure many of you who garden have experienced, there's something so wonderfully connective about getting to eat food which you've grown yourself. After months of making sure plants are watered and protected from weeds, getting to eat a carrot pulled straight out of the dirt feels pretty magical. It's a reminder that when we care for the earth, it cares for us in return. I wanted to share a bit of that feeling with you all, so I've brought some organically grown carrots from my farm to share, although we have washed the dirt off of these ones. As these are passed out, I invite those of you who'd like to take one, and as we enjoy the flavors and the medley of crunching, which I'm sure will accompany, I invite you to think about times in your own life in which you felt cared for by the earth. And for those of us on Zoom, I invite you, if you have food that makes you feel connected to the earth close by, to take this minute to grab that and enjoy. Got a little preview of the meditation that we're about to enter into. I invite us all to take a moment to get comfortable in our seats and check in with yourself. Notice if there's a place in your body that's holding tension and allow it to relax. Take one deep breath in and out. In just a moment, we'll hear the sounds of the Yuba River, which I know is a special place for many of us. And as we listen to those sounds for a few minutes, I invite you to just connect with that or another place in nature that you really love and think about how it feels to be there.
What better metaphor for our interdependence here at UUCM than the time we take to symbolically share the griefs, burdens, and glad tidings that we carry by placing stones in this bowl of water. The stones, brought in by members and friends of this church, symbolize what we carry, while the water symbolizes the way in which we hold those cares for one another. What impacts one of us impacts all of us to some degree as the ripples travel out from where the stone was dropped. For those of you at home, I invite you to type into the chat your joy or sorrow if you wish, or place a 0 or an O to symbolize a stone. Those in the room who would like to, please come forward. I placed the last stones for those things we're not ready or able to share at this time. May our burdens be lightened and our joys be magnified by being in community. Just as we take time to lift up and affirm the joys, concerns, and sorrows of each other in this space, we'll now take time to honor the inherent value and sacred life of our other than human relatives. Just as when our fellow human beloveds are threatened, we hear and magnify the voices of our animal and plant friends when they are in need, and we commit to their protection. We're going to name some species who are local to Nevada County, who are endangered or threatened. Actually, they're all endangered. I got them from the endangered list. As we hear their names, let us hold their lives in compassion, care, and curiosity. First, I'm going to bring a microphone around, and there's a few people who have some names, a name each of an animal or a species, a plant, that is locally endangered. And after we hear each name, we're going to repeat together this phrase. Ta-da! May you survive and thrive. Okay. So each time we hear a name, we'll repeat, may you survive and thrive. All right, who has a name?
Northern spotted owl.
May you survive and thrive.
White bark pine.
May you survive and thrive.
Sierra Nevada yellow-legged frog.
May you survive and thrive.
Sierra Nevada red fox.
May you survive and thrive. Where else did I plant a name?
Vernal pool fairy shrimp.
May you survive and thrive.
Northern goshawk.
May you survive and thrive.
Gray wolf, Canis lupus.
May you survive and thrive. Now I invite you to think about what you see when you look out your window or when you're out for a walk. Let's name just some of the local flora and fauna. Any acorn woodpeckers, may you survive and thrive. Weeds, may you survive and thrive. Redbuds, may you survive and thrive. Black oak, may you survive and thrive. Red-tail hawk, may you survive and thrive. California quail, may you survive and thrive. California poppies, may you survive and thrive. Bees, may you survive and thrive. Kit Kit Dizzy, may you survive and thrive. And I heard king snake, may you survive and thrive. One last one, yes. Huckleberries, may you survive and thrive. And now let's imagine this full ecosystem that we have just begun to name just a few things of. Imagine it surviving and thriving between and among and beyond us. And may we remember the bald eagle, which was once almost extinct in California, was on the endangered species list, who, through the protection that was afforded by the Endangered Species Act, recovered. And it made it up to the list of threatened in 1995, which is above the endangered list. And then it was removed from the list altogether in 2007. Many of us have seen them right here in Nevada County of late. I know I've seen one down at the river. May we take hope from the recovery of this species. May we remember all of these beings, small and large, abundant and threatened, near and far. Let us honor the web of life by honoring ourselves, each other, and all the life with which we share this sacred home. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Good morning. Well, it turns out that climate change is all my fault. And why is that? Well, you may be shocked to learn that I was born in the UK and spent many years there. And it was the UK that invented the Industrial Revolution, right? That spread around the world, went to Europe and to the US and to China and India. We did it, the Industrial Revolution. We made iron and steel. We invented the steam engine. We had many coal mines. I've been down a coal mine, right? We heated our homes by burning coal in fireplaces, and then with coal gas. And everybody else followed us. But then some scientists realized that we were putting CO2 molecules into the atmosphere and methane molecules into the atmosphere. And they warned us about climate change. And an amazing thing happened, is that billions of people around the world believed them and decided to do something about it. So let's see the first slide. So here's a picture of China. You see all those solar panels covering hillsides, right? Next one, Cyprus. This, of course, is a windmill, a several windmills. See how big they are. See the little guy there? These are huge installations. Now, I have got slides of huge installations in countries all over the world. There's this tremendous investment going on. And to me, it's amazing that these people were prepared to believe the scientists and to make these huge investments. And I think it's a great story. But let me ask you all a question. Who here is concerned or alarmed about climate change? Oh, geez. Let's just try alarmed. Now, there's a problem about being alarmed, right? You don't feel so good about it, but there's an answer, right? The answer to being alarmed about climate change is to do something about it, right? And you all have the opportunity today to do something about it, because I have these postcards, right, that are issued by an outfit called Interfaith Power and Light, right? And now, Gail Johnson Vaughan asked you to do thousands of postcards. I'm asking you to do just one, right? This postcard will go to Interfaith Power and Light, and they will make sure it gets distributed to the appropriate legislator. And essentially what you're saying is, I pledge to vote with climate and creation in mind. So see me later for a postcard, and thank you very much.
We come to this place because we love what exists here, because we wish to be reminded of what is important, to be called back to our best selves for a litany of reasons. This church is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. Like any ecosystem, its breath and its heartbeat, its life itself, can only be derived from its living components, us. Each month, we select an organization from our larger local ecosystem with whom to share the offering. 25% of the offering this month will support Citizens for Choice, whose mission is to promote reproductive justice through education, healthcare access, and advocacy, informing and enabling choice. If you'd like 100% of your donation to go to Citizens for Choice, please place it in the white envelope you'll find in each basket. See the screen for ways to give by text, PayPal, UUCM's website, or by mail. An offering will now be made and received in love. Thank you for your generosity. We dedicate these offerings to our ideal of an interconnected world where all beings thrive.
It doesn't take much to connect with nature, to allow our shoulders to drop down further from our ears, our breath to grow a little deeper when we pause outdoors and contemplate the trees, the soil, the birds, the clouds. And for the coming weeks, we'll probably smile and think about our interdependence with the earth each time we eat a carrot. But many of us feel a kind of paralysis in the face of climate change, as if it is so big, so vast, that there is nothing we can do about it. And we should be the first to find Bob Miller in the foyer for one of those postcards. I have to remind myself that incremental change is change, and that small steps by many add up to something larger than we can imagine. But also, that caring for the earth is not a one-way task, as Sophia alluded to, and as Robin Wall Kimmerer writes. Action on behalf of life transforms, because the relationship between self and the world is reciprocal. It is not a question of first getting enlightened or saved and then acting. As we work to heal the earth heals us. As we work to heal the earth heals us. Let us remember to be stirred, centered, and healed by our special places, yes, and by letting nature surprise us, by letting in the awe for the daffodils along the highway, the volunteer squash vine in our garden, the iris in our neighbor's yard, the bats that flock out from under the Davis Causeway on I-80 at sunset. We can start by just letting ourselves deepen our connection to the earth. In her book, Phosphorescence, Australian journalist Julia Baird writes about reconnecting with wonder and how it helped her re-embrace life after a near-fatal illness. She writes, "We seem to have forgotten how comforting it can be to feel small and experience the awe that comes from being silenced by something greater than ourselves, something unfathomable, unconquerable, and mysterious." I once had a picnic dinner with a friend on the hood of my car on a moonless night in the mountains just above Death Valley. The Milky Way stretched out above us in astonishing glory. Just remembering that evening, a tiny stop in a long road trip can lower my heart rate. I find reminders of my, I think I made this word up, infinitesimalness to be strangely comforting. Reminders that I am a speck in the vastness of being. I have inherited, as have many of you, a Judeo-Christian tradition that places people outside of the natural world rather than a part of it. In recognizing that thought pattern, I can work to undo it, to understand myself to be within the web of all existence, an interdependent part of it. And I can commit and recommit myself to the humility that is implied. Stepping outside at night and looking up is a wonderful tool in that endeavor. This mind shift brings with it a different view of all life. As Canadian environmentalist David Suzuki writes, "The way we see the world shapes the way we treat it. If a mountain is a deity and not a pile of ore, if a river is one of the veins of the land, not potential irrigation water, if a forest is a sacred grove, not timber, And if other species are biological kin, not resources, or if the planet is our mother, not an opportunity, then we will treat each other with greater respect. Thus is the challenge to look at the world from a different perspective. This Earth Day, perhaps we'll each choose one or several of a myriad of changes that can help the Earth. Commit to eat less meat or switch to an entirely plant-based diet. Reduce our plastic consumption. Buy an electric car. Advocate for a ban on single-use plastic bags. For real this time. Set up a compost. Plant a pollinator garden. Install solar panels. Bike to church. What could you do that would be a right-sized step for you? And along with those endeavors, I wish for us, like Nancy Finley spoke of, we may each find our heart on fire, captivated by the life around us, that we take time in silence to absorb the changing seasons, that our spirits be enriched. So may it be. Thank yous to all the people who help put on a service on a Sunday morning. Special thanks to Sophia for planning with me. Thanks to our readers, Nancy and Bob, and Jenny Dewey, and all the people who read endangered species names. And to our IT team back there, our AV team, actually, Steve and Cypress, who keep things running, Eileen for being chat host once again, Shanti, thank you for the beautiful setting. And our greeters this morning, I saw Laura and Carl. Refreshments are provided by Shannon and Katz, and special thanks to Cheryl Spalding and Jenny Dewey, who are upstairs with our young ones. Coming up, there is a Wolf Creek Anthem, a free concert in honor of Earth Day tomorrow. The Jam Cafe is coming up on Thursday, lots of fun for all. And the Pride Family Potluck this Friday evening at 6 o'clock. All ages welcome, come join us. And Spirituality Sharing Circle will be experiencing sharing and silence and sharing again next Saturday. And Reverend Kevin is putting together a UU Values hike to walk, reflect, talk, and hike. If you're interested in that, get in touch with him. And as always, you can learn more about all these things and upcoming services and more at our website, uugrassvalley.org. For our closing song, surprise, surprise, we're going to sing Blue Boat Home. Won't you rise and join me in singing?
Still my drive and heart
Then, to belong to your place by your own knowledge of what it is that no other place is, and by your caring for it as you care for no other place, this place that you belong to, though it is not yours, for it was from the beginning and will be till the end. As we leave this place, may we carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. See you next Sunday, and for those of you in the room, we have refreshments in the back.